Hi guys. So recently I've been seeing a lot of character guides on YouTube for Ziyan, for Calcharo, for Encore, and all the other limited characters of 5 stars that are summonable. However, I think a lot of people forget that the Rover is a really good DPS as well, up there as the strongest DPS, especially the Havoc Rover. And in my previous video I showed that I was able to crit with the ulti and deal 39,000 damage with Verina's buff, and I'll show you guys just how I did it today. Now first of all, these are my stats on the Rover. I am currently using a crit rate echo. The one I was using in the video was a crit damage one, which I'll be showing you guys in a second. I'm currently using the Emerald of Genesis. I got this from the permanent banner that you can select the weapon of. So that is good, but before that, I have been using the Commando of Conviction from the 4-star selector box that we were given. And this was basically a new addition to my current roster. Moving on to the Forte, I've technically maxed out all of the ones at the bottom because these are important to the DPS output. However, I've only been able to put the inherent skill unlock and the stat bonus that increases attack percent. Obviously, if you unlocked all of these, you would then be able to do even more damage with the Havoc Rover. I currently have Resonance 2, and you can basically get this from the gacha submission. I mean the Resonance Casket submission at the city. Now let's move on to Echoes. How was it that I was able to do that much damage? Now, first of all, this is the one that I usually use because it increases crit rate. Having 50+% crit rate means that I would have more consistent damage output. However, in the video, I was using this, which is a crit damage echo. Now, obviously, this had more beneficial stats in terms of DPS output. But because when I equip it, my crit rate drops to 29.8% even with the 5-star weapon, it wouldn't be a reliable damage and it's just used for damage showcasing. So usually I would use the crit rate one. Moving on to my second echo, it is the Tamburinis with Havoc damage bonus, and there are decent stats here. Basic attack damage bonus, the resonance liberation damage, which is basically the ulti damage, and crit damage. These are really beneficial stats, although not the best. The third echo would be the Havoc Dread main with Havoc damage bonus. This isn't a really good echo. The only good stat here is probably attack percent, and basic attack damage bonus is useful, but not the best. Moving on, the fourth echo is a young Rostrum. The substats aren't that good, just the ulti damage is improved again with the basic damage. The fifth one doesn't really have any good stats, so you can see that my echoes aren't maxed out. The max level is 25. Most of my echoes are 20, 15, 15, and 15. So you could definitely achieve a higher damage than I did in the video just by having maxed out echoes. It's important to note that the Sonata effect is Sun Sinking Eclipse, which increases Havoc damage. Now my suggestion is to always run 4-3-3-1-1 for main DPS because you want the double Havoc damage bonus or elemental damage bonus on the 2-3 costs. Now these would increase your elemental based characters damage by a lot. For example, Tanjing would be one of those with Havoc damage bonus requirement and the Havoc Rover. Now if you're building Calcharo, Jiyan, obviously they would have the aero damage and the electro damage bonus. Now those that aren't able to achieve enough crit rate, either because you don't have the weapon or because you don't have enough of the substats, what you can do in the early game is to go to your Sun Sinking Eclipse, you go to the 4 cost, and you could use a Crownless with crit rate. Now this will increase your crit rate, however it's not the optimal build for DPS because you would have double crit rate. That would be a 4-4-1-1-1. That means you wouldn't have any elemental damage bonus at all, which might work for certain characters in the future, but we are not too sure of that. Now that's enough of the Rover build. Moving on to Verina's build. Now Verina doesn't require too much to invest in. The first thing of note is that I unlocked the Gift of Nature, which is her most important keystone, or her rune, or forte if you call it that, and it increases the attack for all party members by 20%. Now this is really, really good for DPS, that you basically just have to proc one of her passives. She's obviously Resident Zero and free to play, and the basic effect of her switching out is so that she increases damage even further with Moonlit Clouds. So the Moonlit Cloud Sonata, if you haven't realized, is an extremely good sonata for support-based characters. It doesn't really matter what is put on Verina, specifically because she is a support character that you'll be switching out. If you're not doing damage with her, you could just slap on any attack pieces or defense pieces or damage pieces, and she will work well. I ran healing bonus because I want her to heal a bit more. Obviously, her build isn't that well done, so I wouldn't be able to do that much with her. However, you would just put attack percent on Verina because that's how she scales on her skill and her healing. She's using Jingzhou Keeper, which is a very free-to-play friendly weapon. A lot of people will be able to get this just from summoning. That's my basic guide for how the rover works. If anyone is interested, I can post a video of just the rover displaying the DPS output of her without any buffs. If there are questions, please leave it in the comments below. Thanks for watching.